Poštovani gledatelji, lijep pozdrav, gledate emisiju Diplomacija. Danas putujemo do dalekog Japana, a moj dragi gost ovdje u zagrebačkom studiju je njegova ekscelencija, veleposlanik Japana u Hrvatskoj, Masato Iso. Your Excellency, welcome and thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
How are you today?
Fine, thank you.
Okay, just as a start, can you explain to our viewers how long have you been in Croatia?
Yes.
How long have you been the ambassador?
Yes. I present my credentials to President Milanovic on 9th of June, so it's one day less than a year.
Okay.
Yes. And all the fellow diplomats that times told me that I came in a very good timing because all the activities have restarted after 2 consecutive years of restrictions due to COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah.
And during this time, the most important things was that Japan and Croatia reaffirmed the conviction that we are really the partners who share the basic values such as democracy, rule of laws, and basic human rights, especially after Russian aggression against Ukraine. And our 2 countries could demonstrate this conviction and solidarity at highest levels at various occasions, for example, at United Nations or NATO or Japan-EU consultations. And I made my efforts here in Zagreb to highlight this solidarity. Okay. So, and of course, this year 2023, marks the 30th anniversary of the diplomatic relations between our 2 countries, and I am happy to have organized events to celebrate this auspicious year.
We'll talk about these events. This year we are celebrating indeed 30 years. It's a big number. So how would you describe our relations in general? So they're quite good.
Yes, we are enjoying extraordinary friendly relations since the establishment of diplomatic relations in March 1993. In early period after the international recognition of Croatia, Japan provided assistance in various fields, from demining, public health to cultural affairs. And I'm very grateful that many Croatians remember these assistances and mentioned often in numerous occasions. Now Croatia integrated fully in Europe within Euro and Schengen area is an inevitable partner who shares the basic values, as I said.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely, we have very strong and very friendly relations. However, I don't know if you would agree that our economic relation is still quite, we can work on that. What do you think? Is there a room for improvement?
Yes, but even in my tenure, less than 1 year, I witnessed some positive developments in the field of economy. For example, SoftBank of Japan, together with Goldman Sachs, invested €5 million in Rimats. Oh. Yes, and one Japanese pharmaceutical packaging company expanded its production facilities in Sesvete, near Zagreb. And Toyota Group started its leasing services. Yes. Otherwise, several excellent companies are active more than 25 years in Croatia. And furthermore, one major Croatian shipping company, Jadran, purchased 2 LPG carriers built in Japan. So, introduction of Euro and integration into Schengen area will certainly pave the way for future economic development.
Do you think it will be easier then for Japanese investors to invest even more?
Yes, so this is the most appropriate timing to advertise Croatia's strategic venue for investment again, as it is still not fully recognized by Japanese investors. And many Japanese companies are acting internationally, and they have bases in Brussels or in other major economies in Europe. So maybe it's a good idea to advertise not in Japan, not in Zagreb, but also in those countries or in Brussels.
In other countries, yeah, I agree. Besides car industry, which I agree is perhaps the most important one, what else do you think is the field we can perhaps collaborate even more?
Actually, a famous Croatian IT company, Infobip, has opened its office in Tokyo. So in the field of IT, I think Croatia has a very good chance to more active in Japan. And also the famous tuna, bluefin tuna, is still account for maybe 50–60% of the export from Croatia to Japan. But you have also many chances in agri products like wines and also maybe truffles.
Really? Truffles? Okay. So we have agriculture, we have car industry, we have IT sector, and we have also tourism.
Yes.
It's very important for our income.
Yes.
The number of Japanese tourists really increased when the pandemic finished.
Yes.
However, I think we can work on that as well.
Yes, there are certain discrepancies between demand and supply concerning tourists from Japan. Japanese tourists in general are more interested in cultural heritages rather than by beach resort. And we have relatively long public holidays during the end and the beginning of the year. But however, if you visit historic towns in Šibenik or Trogir on the coastal line in winter, many hotels are closed, and some cities looked like deserted. So, and in high season, on the other, hotels prefer guests staying longer period rather than the tourists hopping around from one place to another. So therefore, it is rather difficult for tourist companies to organize a package tour from Japan to Croatia. So in this field, maybe you have a field to advance.
I hope tourist agencies are listening or watching our show.
Yes.
That's really something we should consider.
And per capita expenditure of Japanese tourists is higher than the average. So to promote more, to attract more Japanese tourists will contribute to overcome the over-tourism and to attract, to shift toward a sustainable tourism in Croatia.
Yeah, I agree. And how about the other way around? How about Croatian tourists in Japan?
It's still rather small in number, but Japan is a country of vast diversity, from north to south and from east to west. For many Australians and New Zealanders, for example, Hokkaido in the north is the mecca of the ski and snow resort. And Okinawa in the south, a chain of islands with beautiful coral reef, is a paradise for skin divers. Kyoto, old capital of Japan, is world famous, but there are many historic cities and regions throughout the country. So it really depends upon the interest of the tourist where to visit. But I'm born in and grew up in Tokyo, so metropole Tokyo is worth a visit. Tokyo is a microcosmos with a population almost 14 million people.
It's quite a number.
Yes, and there is a tower which is 634 meters high, and it's looking down even the skyscrapers, but also traditional 1 or 2 story wooden houses. Yes, numbers of museums and galleries of higher standard from east to west, from classic to subculture. And Tokyo has more Michelin stars than Paris does.
Really?
Yes, so many foreign residents and visitors said, you can eat nowhere better than here.
Oh my! And how do you feel now? So you came from Tokyo and you are now in Croatia. Is Zagreb like too small for you? Is it like a village for you then?
No,
I mean, it's a really big difference.
Really big differences, but I'm really enjoying this city because there is no capital to go to the ski resort in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I can ride on horse, for example, even in the Maximil Park.
Yeah.
There is no capital like this in the world.
Okay, thank you for those kind words. Okay, so you already said what are the most interesting parts for tourists in your country, and what would you say are perhaps the most interesting things Croatia has to offer for Japanese tourists? Do we have something like cultural heritage?
Yes, yes,
yeah.
Of course. You have 6 cultural heritage on UNESCO list and 1 natural heritage, Diplomacija. And I have visited every one of them, and it's very, very attractive. And another big advantage that you can visit Šibenik, Trogir, and Split in 1 day, maybe 2 days, 2 days. So it's a really good attraction for Japanese tourists. But also, Dubrovnik is also famous.
Yeah. Have you been able to visit it?
Yes. In Europe, maybe it is very famous as a venue of the Game of Thrones.
Yes.
But in Japan, there are animation films. Kiki's, there's animation, and the opening of this animation, there is a scene looking down the city of Dubrovnik.
In Japanese animation movie.
Japanese animation.
Which one is that? You need to give me the. Okay.
Yes.
We'll do it after the show.
Yes,
You'll tell me. Okay, amazing. I never knew that. Okay, so as you said, tourism and economy, there is still room to prosper, but they're in quite good condition. And how about our cultural exchange?
Fortunately, there were several pioneers, like Professor Davide, who introduced haiku poetry to this country in 1970s. But there are also architects, visual artists, and translators who dedicated to cultural exchange between our 2 countries. And thanks to their devotion, Croatian interest on Japanese culture is very high in various fields, which I really appreciate. And the embassy now tries to organize cultural events, not only in Zagreb, but also in different regions and cities. In this regard, I really appreciate that the exhibition and workshop of Japanese woodcut printmaking by Mr. Yoshikatsu Tamekane will be held at the Jelsa Municipal Museum on Hvar from 9th of June.
Okay, so it starts today, and it's about wood, gold, and water. Sounds really interesting.
Yes. Japanese woodcut printing influenced greatly visual arts of Europe, especially Impressionism. Vincent van Gogh, for example, had a huge collection of Japanese woodcut printing. So that will be very interesting for Croatians and Europeans to see how the modern type of woodcut printing today is.
Yeah, definitely. Besides, there is not only exhibition in order, but also workshops. So maybe we can.
Yes, you can experience how to print this woodcut printing and so on.
Have you ever done it?
I did it many years ago, but
is it hard?
Of course, in Edo era, where woodcut printing was flourished, there was a artist who designed the woodcut printing, but there is another cutter who is specialized for cutting the woodcut, and there is also a printer who is specialized in printing, because they use many colors and they have to use several woodcut prints to make it in a real...
Make it in Okay, so that's a quite good invitation to our viewers to visit definitely this exhibition and workshop in Jelsa. Besides our culture, what do you think about our food, about our customs? Climate?
We Japanese love seafood, so we highly appreciate specialties from Adriatic Sea, such as shrimp, kovac, or you may call it champier.
Okay, kovac is quite good.
Yeah, and scarpina, and alongside of malvasia or poship or gurk. Nevertheless, I also enjoy freshwater fish, especially smooch, accompanied by grashibina and spicy game goulash in Slavonia with
you tried all of these? Okay, amazing. And what do you think? Do you ever visit Japanese restaurants here in Croatia? Because we love those.
Yes.
Yeah, Japanese food is amazing.
Actually, I have visited just once. Yes.
Was it?
It's okay. It's okay. Especially the food stuff is very fresh, especially from Adriatic Sea, so you can enjoy it. And some sushi, rolled sushi is really nice.
Okay, it's not like original, but it's nice. Thank you for that. And how about the people? Japanese people versus Croatians. Do you find?
Croatians are in general very open-minded and friendly and very accessible. And we Japanese maybe seem like being reserved, but actually we are really open and we are hospitable. So we have some similarities, and it may be related to the history of maritime states. But also, of course, we have many different characters, which was symbolically, you have witnessed in a very symbolic way in Qatar in last December at the football match. Yeah. We are much better in organization and discipline, but still not much for your improvisation.
Yeah, that's right. I would agree, but I forgot it. Yeah, it was last year. Yeah, it was a good game, good match. Okay, we are near the end of the show, so I would like to just ask you about your plans for this year.
So this year marks the 30th anniversary of diplomatic relations. So we have still planned to hold several cultural events, and also on the political level consultations. So I have to work for it. But of course, I would like to enjoy the life here on the Dalmatian coast, but also in Slavonia. Have
you already planned your vacation?
Yes, I have visited Hvar last year, so I'm very much impressed by these islands. So I would like to visit another island.
Okay. And how about Japan during the summer? What would you recommend, for example, for my colleague and me, if we want to go to Japan during the summer?
During the summer, it's very hot and humid, so maybe rather go to Okinawa, which is in southern part. It's really a paradise for skin divers, but also for
Okinawa it is.
Very beautiful place.
Your Excellency, thank you for your time, and we wish you all the best in your future work, and I hope you'll be our dear guest here as soon as possible.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Poštovani gledatelji, bilo je ovo sve u još jednom izdanju emisije Diplomacija. Hvala na pozornosti i ostanite uz program televizije Jadran. Do sljedećeg susreta, lijep pozdrav!